Why, hello there YouTube, and welcome to a top ranking video. So yeah, I thought I've seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, there's 10 films, let's do it as a top 10, shall we? So this is all my personal opinion, none of you have to agree with it. If you have your own opinion, then by all means, feel free to share. But here we are, the Planet of the Apes film ranking, or top 10 Planet of the Apes movies. So here we go. So coming in at number 10 is Battle for the Planet of the Apes, the 5th instalment of the film series and the final instalment of the original franchise. So this one, yeah, it was a good enough conclusion and had some good visual effects for like the nuclear wasteland and stuff, but the prosthetics and the makeup, it's like, you could see it was having its toll, and the movement of the mouthpieces and that weren't as effective. Also, the battle scenes, like the final battle scenes, just seemed rushed and not a lot of action. Like it was all confined to a small field, and it was just, yeah. And also the demise of one of the antagonists falling from a tree that isn't even that high. Yeah. But it was a good conclusion, I thought, to the original films, but just lacked a bit. So, coming in at number 9, it is Planet of the Apes 2001. Yes, the remake of the remake, which actually is more truer to the book. This one is truer to the source material. But when I first watched this as a kid, I wasn't too impressed by it. I thought this was a different film entirely, just with the apes and that. I mean, I'll give them credit. This was the last Planet of the Apes films where it was practical makeup and prosthetics for the apes. And I see Tim Burton was trying to give it a new lease on life and adapting it more to the source material. But yeah, I mean, I've grown a bit more appreciative of it in recent times, but yeah, it's just a weak remake, and that ending, yeah. Number 8 is Beneath the Planet of the Apes. This sequel, yeah, I get they were doing something with it. Like, I thought the subterranean mutant subplot was interesting, but Charlton Heston, he didn't want to be in this movie. He agreed to it if he gets killed in the opening act or anything like that, but he disappears in the film, and then it's like a minor role for him. James Franciscus does his best. This one doesn't have Roddy McDowall in it. He had other commitments, so his character was played by a different actor who I don't think was as good, but we had the return of all the other casts, like Kim Hunter, Linda Harrison, Maurice Evans. Also, the ending was a bit, like, so they can't make any more, but they did make more. They did. So coming in at number 7, it is Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. If this plot seems familiar, it's because it feels like Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Well, we'll get to that a little later, but yeah, this one, I'm like thinking a few plot holes, like the apes have evolved to anthropomorphicness within the space of 20 years. The virus has wiped out all the cats and dogs, and it's now the slave trade, etc. I like the futuristic look at that time, given it was in the 70s and they were doing 20 years into the future. I thought Roddy McDowall did a good, ending performance, and the action was good in it too, from what we saw. But it was a bit of a slow-paced one, like Caesar plotting his whole scheme for revenge and what have you, and it was just like slow building up. This was my introduction to the series, but yeah, I just thought it was okay. Anyway, number 6 is Escape from the Planet of the Apes, the third movie in the series, where Roddy McDowall returns, Kim Hunter returns as Zira. This was probably like I say, the cheapest one made, given that only three actors were in ape makeup and it was chimps. One of them got killed earlier on because of difficulties in the makeup. I thought this was a good one. Like it was tragic, it was sad, it was like a Shakespearean love story between our two leads, and the ending so heartbreaking with the baby chimp, baby Milo. Um, but I thought this was a better improvement of Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and third time lucky with it. And I did like this one. Feeling there was some dramatisation to it, but it worked, I think. Okay, so top five, we're getting serious now. So number five is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the second film in the reboots, where it's 10 years later and we see Caesar wanting to live in peace, and then there's a whole small colony of humans in San Francisco. They have to try and work together, form some peaceful boundaries so they can operate their dam. Andy Serkis was great in this, returning as Caesar. The villain Cobra, I kind of get where he's coming from with his evil, vengeful ways. Gary Oldman, though, is said to be like the main antagonist. I feel he didn't have a lot of screen time. The real human star, I feel, was Jason Clarke. It was a tearful goodbye as well at the end, but you can tell this was like the second installment of a trilogy, and it was going to like leave it open for the next one. But I liked it still. More dialogue from apes this time round. So coming in at number four is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the most recent film in the series. I like this one. I was hoping we'd get another apes movie after war, and we did. This one, it was visually stunning, a lot more improvement on the CGI, some good action, some good antagonists, good human leads, like Freya Allen and William H. Macy. And like I say, a good finale, but there were moments in there that did drag out, were a bit slow, but I thought was good enough. I enjoyed watching this one, and I'll probably watch it again, maybe when it's available for home media. Maybe it'll drop on Disney Plus like all the other Apes movies are. I like the orangutan rocker as well. Shame about him. But yeah, this was a new story, standalone at the start of it. I'm assuming is a new trilogy, and I really hope we get to see more of them. Apparently, there are plans to make more. So coming in at number three is War for the Planet of the Apes. This one was like quite dark, but Andy Serkis, this was his final outing as Caesar, and the character of Caesar that we followed throughout the other two films. It was amazing, this one. It was brilliantly actioned. Had a good villain, the Colonel, played by Woody Harrelson. And, it was a good conclusion to the trilogy, and beautiful yet sad when Caesar saves his people, but he meets his demise. Also, I loved the orangutan Maurice throughout these films. He was a good, support for Caesar. But yeah, this was a lot darker, but nicely done. Coming in at number two, it is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Now, I didn't know they could do a great requel to a franchise, and they did. This one, it was like, they got like the old material, like the origins of how the apes got smart, but slightly changed it all with like a virus, all attempting to cure Alzheimer's disease and using apes as guinea pigs, and the apes were getting smarter from it. I just had a blast with this one. I saw it in cinemas, and that ending, I was just in tears because it was such a happy ending, and it still gets me all emotional to this day, because it's a rarity that these movies end on a happy note, and this one it did. And you follow Caesar, you see the journey he's made, and it was just magnificent, I thought, Rise. So yeah. And number one, it is the original Planet of the Apes. This movie was the start of it all. and it was just before this. It was just a French novelization called Monkey Planet, and we get Charlton Heston, a good human lead. We get Roddy McDowall. The makeup effects for all the apes were brilliantly done at that time, and I think, yeah, they did look convincing. They do look like apes. Love Maurice Evans as Dr. Zias, Kim Hunter as Zira, and Roddy McDowall as Cornelius. Linda Harrison as Noba. Just a great film altogether, and the ending where he makes the revelation that he's been on Earth this entire time in the far future, and breaks down because he feels, we finally did it. We pushed the nuclear war button and stuff. Yeah, it's just an amazing film, and I've loved these films from being a kid. And when I saw this one properly for the first time, I was amazed by it. Yeah, there is some slow pacing, but it keeps you watching, and there are quite some unnerving scenes in there, including the bit where, Taylor finds one of his comrades been stuffed and put in a museum, and another one where he's had his brain scrambled. But yeah, this is a sci-fi classic, and it's easy to see why, and I love this one. I love all the films, but this is probably my favouriteest one, the original Planet of the Apes. So there you go. There is my top 10, Planet of the Apes movies film ranking. So if you do agree with this list, let me know all that down below in the comments. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, share with your friends, and feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and to hit that notification bell. I've been Random Ross, and this has been a top 10 film ranking video on the Planet of the Apes franchise. So yeah, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, like I said, and until next time, I bid you all a goodbye, friends, goodbye.